Two identical racing cars roll into the paddock. Same engine, same driver, same setup. Yet one will dominate and the other will barely stay on track. The difference isn't mechanical, it's invisible, mathematical, and it's written in the air itself. Today we're uncovering why engineers must completely reinvent a car's wings between Silverstone and Monaco, and how they calculate the exact downforce you can afford to lose when you're chasing that extra mile per hour. This is where championships are won and lost. Not in the last lap, but in the 10 days between races when engineers completely rebuild their aerodynamic strategy. A team that misreads a circuit's demands by just 2% downforce can lose 1/10 of a second per lap. And across a 58-lap Grand Prix, that's a podium finish evaporating into thin air. The stakes are brutal. Ferrari might arrive at Monaco with a setup designed for straights and corner exits, only to discover they've sacrificed the very stability their car needs through the tunnel. Meanwhile, Mercedes could nail Silverstone's long-speed corners perfectly, then watch their advantage vanish when they arrive at a circuit where low-speed handling matters more than top speed. This is aerodynamic sensitivity in its rawest form. And it's the invisible battle that determines whether a driver leaves a circuit as a champion or as someone wondering what went wrong. Imagine airflow as an invisible river flowing over your car. At Silverstone, that river moves fast and straight, almost like a highway, so you want tall, aggressive wings to grab as much of that flow as possible. Now picture Monaco. The same airflow suddenly becomes chaotic, interrupted constantly by tight corners, walls just centimeters away, and braking zones where the car lurches and twists unpredictably. A tall wing designed for Silverstone's sweeping Copse corner becomes a liability in Monaco's tunnel. It generates downforce beautifully in a straight line, but the moment the car turns, aerodynamic stall happens. The airflow separates, downforce collapses, and you're sliding into a barrier. Engineers measure this sensitivity in units of downforce per millimeter of wing angle. A single degree of wing adjustment can mean 30 or 40 kilograms of grip change. And that change feels totally different depending on corner speed. At high speed like Silverstone, drivers want to be planted through fast corners. They need that downforce to feel confident pushing 300 kilometers per hour through a corner without the car drifting. But at Monaco, a driver needs something almost opposite. Better turn-in response, lighter feel on the steering wheel, and the ability to rotate the car through tight hairpins without the aerodynamic forces fighting their inputs. The same car setup that generates perfect grip at Silverstone's long corners literally resists turning at Monaco because the aerodynamic load is pointing the wrong direction for the corner speed. Engineers use computational fluid dynamics, basically software that simulates airflow millions of times per second, to predict exactly where downforce will disappear, but even supercomputers can't capture the full reality of rubber meeting tarmac, tire temperature swings, or a driver's feel. That's why teams spend the entire first practice session Friday morning gathering data on how their car actually behaves, comparing what the simulation promised against what the driver is reporting through the radio. The 2003 season gives us a masterclass in how sensitive this balance truly is. Ferrari brought a high downforce package to Monaco, then shipped essentially the same car to Montreal just days later, and suddenly their qualifying advantage evaporated completely. Rubens Barrichello's pace drop between those two races wasn't driver error or bad luck. It was pure aerodynamic mismatch. The wings that generated confidence through Monaco's slow corners actively destabilized the car under braking into the hairpin at Gilles Villeneuve circuit, where straights demand lower drag. That vulnerability cost Ferrari positions they couldn't recover in the championship battle. Then look at 2016. Mercedes arrived at Monaco with Lewis Hamilton in dominant form, but their car felt nervous on corner entry. Too much downforce for such tight technical turns. Engineers made radical changes between Friday practice and Saturday qualifying, shaving several kilograms of downforce off the wings. Hamilton immediately reported better feel, better rotation. He claimed pole position that day. But here's the cruel irony. That same low downforce setup that felt perfect for qualifying and the Monaco race would have felt completely inadequate 48 hours later at Montreal's longer corners and higher speeds. So teams don't just adjust wings. They completely rebuild aerodynamic philosophy based on circuit demand. This is why you see mechanics bolting on entirely different wing elements in the paddock between races. It's not fine-tuning, it's architectural change. Now imagine for a moment, what if you could only bring one aero package to every circuit on the calendar, no changes allowed? You'd be forced to find the absolute middle ground, enough downforce to stick through cops at Silverstone, but not so much that you're dragging a parachute through the Fairmont hairpin at Monaco. The result would be a car that's genuinely mediocre everywhere, not quite planted in the high-speed stuff, not quite nimble in the tight stuff, a compromise that satisfies nobody and wins nothing. So remember this, downforce isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a circuit-specific equation. High-speed corners demand grip through aerodynamic load. Tight corners demand agility through minimal resistance. And because no two circuits demand the same thing, engineers must think in completely different aerodynamic languages from weekend to weekend. That's the brutal elegance of Formula One, the same machine, radically reimagined for every battle. Tell us in the comments, which circuit's aero challenge fascinates you most, and what should we investigate next? And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We're going deeper into the physics that separate champions from